Well, greetings, everybody, and welcome. This is the Everything Entertainment Show. We are a little bit delayed because I had some technical issues, but we are uploaded today on Tuesday. We're going to talk a little bit about the week that was and what the week we have ahead, and I've got several things that I wanted to talk about, including the Super Bowl trailers. Final Fantasy VII had its state of play. Microsoft is holding a business event this Thursday. We have a new animatronic revealed for Tiana's Bayou adventure. And also we're going to look to the week ahead. And my take is going to be, we are going to look into that Wicked trailer, and we're going to have kind of a discussion about it. So, let's go ahead and get started. So, this past Sunday was the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not a big sports guy. You know, this is not going to be a sports-centered podcast, but I have to give just a brief note, because just in terms of drama, this was one hell of a game. You know, it's always great when you see a championship game like this that has both sides playing to the absolute best of their ability, and it was great to see, and it was great to watch, and I really enjoyed it. And of course, the movie trailers, which is part of my favorite things about the Super Bowl, we're going to talk about those in just a minute, but overall, I thought the game was great. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, on the flip side of that, with the week that was, what happened? Nobody went to the movies. Let's come over here to Box Office Mojo to look. So, Argyle took number one again at only $6.2 million. Whew. That's not good for anybody. Lisa Frankenstein, which just opened, which I am seeing tomorrow, and we'll talk a little bit more when we get to what I'm doing. But it only made 3.7. Beekeeper in third at 3.4. Wonka and Migration staying in there at fourth and fifth. You know, that's surprising to me that they're sticking in. All the others have kind of, Mean Girls has completely fallen out, but Wonka and Migration has stuck through. All right, let's get back to talking about now the movie TV beat. We've got to talk about these Super Bowl commercials and the movie trailers. So I'm going to just talk about everything that I put in my article, and we can kind of go a little bit more in depth with it. So the first one I remember seeing is The Fall Guy. This is a movie I've been extremely excited about. You know, I think that David Leitch is a great director. The chemistry in this preview between Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt was incredible, and I think that everything looks great. I thought the little joke at the end where he's just sitting in his car listening to Taylor Swift, I laughed so hard at that. But at the end of the day, it didn't get me more excited than that first trailer that's already playing in theaters. I also kind of get the feeling that in a month or so, you're going to see a lot of the same things that people are talking about Argyle, where you're going to have seen this trailer so much, you're going to get tired of it. But as a trailer, as a commercial itself, it was fine. Now, moving on. Monkey Man. This, you know, we know that this was doomed to go straight to Netflix. Jordan Peele came in and saved it, and it is coming to theaters later this summer. And it looks like fun. It looks great. We don't know for sure what's going to happen. We know Jordan Peele has a ton of faith in it, but I think it looks good. For all we know, it could be bad, but for the most part, I do think that it looks really good. Now, this is one that I feel like could go either way. I thought that the commercial that they had in the Super Bowl was wonderful, how they kind of spoofed the whole Asian Jim thing from The Office, which is probably one of the best cold opens in The Office history, and most sitcoms even. I thought it was great. Now, granted, this preview that they gave doesn't get me any more hyped than the first trailer did, and I'm still not 100% sold. I'm sold enough to go see it, but I'm not 100% sold that it's going to be a great movie, if that makes sense. I was kind of hoping that John Krasinski would stick with horror, maybe get away from The Quiet Place, since he did two of those, but we're going to talk about Quiet Place here in a minute. But maybe if he had stuck with horror or done something. This just has not fully sold me yet, but it has sold me enough that I'll probably go see it. Now, we got Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Now, visually, this movie looks great. And I love the look. But, you know, with Andy Serkis not returning, with the way that the last one ended, that kind of capped off this whole trilogy, I was kind of like, that's a good stopping point. And so far, in both the Super Bowl spot and the initial trailer we got, while they're both captivating and they both have, like, stunning visuals, just purely stunning, I have not gotten that, why does it need to exist? I have not gotten that yet. And once we figure that out. Once they figure out how to sell me on that, I will be more into it. But I think it looks fine. I just haven't gotten to that level yet where I'm like, I'm excited. But I think that it will be I think it could turn out good, I should say. Despicable Me 4. Now, I've liked all of the Despicable Me movies, some more than others. But again, this is another franchise I've kind of felt is on its way out. It's kind of waning. I thought the way that they made fun of AI, I thought the way that they really played with everything in this one, even though we didn't see any new footage, I thought that it looks fine. We'll see, but this is probably one of my least anticipated movies of the summer, but it's going to make a lot of money because it's Minions. But overall, it's a very we will see kind of moment. Now we get to the ones that I'm really excited about. Twisters. Does the trailer look great? Not exactly, but we've got Glenn Powell, who's coming off of Anyone But You, which is way better, and I say this as a 100% complete straight guy, way better than that movie had any right to be. But then we're adding in Daisy Edgar Jones, Anthony Ramos, and it's directed by Lee Isaac Chung, who directed Minery, who I thought was the best film of that year's Oscar crop that it came out. So this leaves me more excited. And of course, Twister is an all-time classic. It is one of the great 90s disaster movies. And yes, do we kind of wish that, obviously can't bring back Bill Paxton, but do I kind of wish that Helen Hunt had come in some regards? And it's not a movie that's needed, but it's still one that leaves me extremely excited. Now, we're going to transition a little bit because the next one on my list is Shogun. It is a Hulu series. The fact that Hulu and Disney took out for a Super Bowl spot tells me they have a ton of confidence in it. And every second of this trailer is just pure epicness. Pure epicness. I cannot wait for this series. I think it comes out next week, doesn't it? Doesn't Shogun start next week? I should have probably looked that up. But it looks wonderful. It looks great. I am tuned in. I am going to be watching this week after week because I think the sets look great. The costumes look great. I think all of the, Sonata looks fantastic in the lead. I'm going to be locked in as soon as this comes. Moving on. We've got A Quiet Place Day 1. The first Quiet Place was my favorite movie that year it came out. That was 2018, right? It was incredible. It was dark. It was tense. The fact that they made Noise a character in this. Quiet Place Part 2, while I still really enjoyed it, not quite as good. So with Krasinski leaving, and we brought in Lupita Nyong'o, and I'll tell you this. Lupita Nyong'o, even when she is in something bad, she will give a near Oscar-level performance. Like, she is just that caliber of an actress. And so that leaves me excited, and I thought the trailer was fan-freaking-tastic. And so that leaves me very, very excited for this. Well, again, that's in March, isn't it? So we're going to find out pretty quickly. I think it might be May now that I'm thinking it off the top of my head. Either way, whenever this comes out, I will be there to see it 100%. Now, this is the one we also know, and I did not make this a story, but it is a big thing. This next trailer just broke the all-time views record. So I have to rethink my thoughts because I saw people telling me that Deadpool and Wolverine, they're like, it's definitely going to be $1 billion movie. And I'm like, well, given everything with Marvel, giving everything with the MCU, it's going to be successful. I've never said it's going to be a flop. But I'm like, people are getting bored of Marvel and they're getting bored of the superhero genre. And I don't see it making... The fact that Deadpool 3 or Deadpool and Wolverine smashed that all-time record, I have to rethink that and go, oh, yeah, this is going to blow past that $1 billion mark. I think it's going to pass Joker for that highest-rated R-rated film of all time, or highest-grossing. And, and everything in this Deadpool trailer is wonderful. It made me more interested in the MCU again. It had me go like, yeah, they've done a few things that I didn't like last year, but we can throw all that aside because this is wonderful. Ryan Reynolds' comedic timing, him calling himself Marvel Jesus. The TVA, now granted, my first thought when I saw the TVA was, oh, a bunch of people that didn't watch Loki are confused right now. And we didn't see as much Hugh Jackman as I was kind of thinking we were going to in that first trailer. But we will find out very soon. I'm sure there's probably going to be another trailer here in probably mid-March. If not in April at CinemaCon. They're going to go all in. And, they still have, 5 months to market this movie. So I think we're going to get plenty more looks at Hugh Jackman. So I'm not letting that dumb me down a little bit. And then finally, and the reason why I saved this for last is not my favorite trailer, but I think it has proven the most controversial trailer of the thing, because I have talked to some people that are over the moon in love with it, and I've seen others that absolutely are trashing on it. And that, of course, is Wicked. And I thought when they first announced Cynthia Erivo, because Cynthia Erivo, like I said with Lupita Nyong'o, Cynthia Erivo is one of those actresses that she just smashes everything that she's in. She is so incredible, and her singing voice is out of this world. So when they announced that she was going to be Elphaba, I was like, 100% I'm in. Then they announced Ariana Grande. And I could say this as somebody who's probably going to get myself in trouble for saying this. I think that I have enough maturity and enough understanding to admit that Ariana Grande has a great singing voice, even though her music is not for me. But everything I have seen her act in, I have been less and less impressed by. And she still has a long ways to go with acting, and in a musical, you need to be able to marry those both. And that's what worried me. On top of that, there's some visual shots of this. Now, granted, and I said this in a Twitter post last night, we're still 9 months out from this movie. They have plenty of time to clean up the visuals. They have plenty of time to market this better. Because when I saw a bunch of people already like, oh, I see we're doing the market your musical without saying it's a musical thing. And I was like, well, let's calm down for a second. This isn't like Mean Girls that was literally already screening and Paramount was like, I don't know, what musical, what? It's not that situation. We are still 9 months out. I'm sure we are going to get another trailer at CinemaCon. And I'm going to guess, either in the first or the second trailer, we're probably going to get 3 more trailers for this movie. In either the first or the second, we're going to get that big, pardon my singing already, but if you care to find me, look to the western sky. We're gonna get that big belt and that huge thing from Cynthia Erivo, and they're gonna really start hammering on the music, because it's not like, even Mean Girls, I think a lot of people don't think about the Broadway musical. A lot of people think about that 2004 movie. Wonka was a little bit different. I don't know why they didn't do that with Wonka. But you can see where I'm going with this. I think that they will. There's also some weird CGI placement. And overall, I just wasn't super excited about the trailer. But it gave me enough that I am interested in seeing what they do with the future marketing. And this is another that I had people telling me 2-3 months ago, oh, Wicked's going to be $1 billion movie. I don't 100%. And there's a couple things. One, this movie is about 10 years too late. If they had released this back in 2012, 2013, when Wicked was at its height, and everyone I know that liked musicals was obsessed with Wicked, that was their favorite musical of all time, I think it would have done a lot better. And second, and I have to go back to this trailer and the marketing and the posters that they showed. We know those, people like me that follow movie news, no, they filmed 2 Wicked movies. They filmed Act 1 as a single movie and Act 2 as a single movie. And they filmed them back to back. There are some shots in this trailer that are 100%, I can almost guarantee they're from Act 2, unless they did some weird mungling and changed around the chronology of the story. And that confused me. And there is always a possibility that in a future thing, and I feel like if they would already have announced this, but that they said, hey, we filmed 2 movies, but we realized it works better as a single, and they made it. In not the poster, in not the trailer, nowhere does it say Wicked Act 1 or Wicked Part 1. Unlike, people can forgive this is a musical. Oh, if you advertise Wicked as a single movie and then Defying Gravity ends and the credits start rolling and the lights come up, people are going to be pissed. People are going to get so angry if you do not advertise this as a 2-movie set. Now, I know that, I think I know part of it, because one of the things I saw, and I didn't even realize this was a problem with Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning until just a few months ago. I was talking to somebody at work, and he goes, yeah, as soon as I realized it was only half the movie, I just waited for it, and then I'm gonna watch it like just before I leave to go watch part 2. I'm not gonna go pay $20 at AMC to watch half of the movie. And I almost wonder, and I don't know how widespread that is. I don't know. You guys can contact me if you think that's ludicrous. And then I saw like 3 other people all bring that up as well. Like, oh yeah, it's because Mission Impossible, they only released half of the movie. So I almost wonder now if we're going to start seeing these 2-movie sets that they're going to hide that they're, a 2-part movie because they don't want people to go, oh, I'll just wait for the full thing to be out. Well, then, we're also, we go into gaming, we're also hearing that with Final Fantasy VII Remake. Every time I post about Final Fantasy VII Remake or Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I get like, I'm waiting for the full game. Well, Remake was a full game. Rebirth is a full game. It's a trilogy. It's not just they didn't just chop it into parts, but I digress with that. So with Wicked, that is my biggest concern. They have to, at some point between now and November, they have to make it very, very, very clear to audiences that this is a part 1. Because I think, like I said, I think people are going to get really upset if they get to the end of this and it's just half the movie. So we are going to move on after that to the gaming beat. So last week was the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth State of Play. And this is a game that I was already excited for. I was going through Final Fantasy VII Remake in preparation for it. It's probably my biggest gaming event of the year. I'm so hyped and to a point where I almost didn't watch the State of Play. But I saw everybody on social media start talking about it, so I went, you know what, let's go ahead and watch it. And I sat down and I watched it, and it's not very long. It's 20 minutes long, I think. To say, like, I literally, ruining my masculinity here, I literally had tears flowing down my face because the game looks so beautiful. The story and the narrative beats look great. A lot of the combat and the open world stuff, all of it. Like, if anybody who knows me, anybody who has been following me for a long time, I rarely give perfect scores. In the time I have been on Letterboxd, I have literally given in 3 perfect scores in 5 years, something like that. So it's so rare for me to do that. Like, it has to be one of those genre-defining, generation-defining titles. Rebirth, if it matches everything that I felt watching this State of Play, Rebirth could be that. In fact, I even said in one of my initial things, if Part 3 is as good as Rebirth and as good as Remake, which is even better, which is looking even better than Remake is, then I think it is possible that this Final Fantasy VII Remake project, all 3 games, will be a better Final Fantasy story than the original PlayStation game. That's just speculation. That is just hypotheticals. Am I expecting that? Absolutely not. But it's possible. After watching this, the door is open. And I was somebody who, Final Fantasy VII on the PS1 is one of my favorite games of all time, even though one of the things that I have gone to all week has been, the original PS1 game. I never got into Aerith as a character. I never liked her. I wouldn't say I didn't like her. I never really understood the love of her. Remake fixed that part of Aerith's character for me. And to the point where I was like, she is just so pure and wholesome, and I love her, and I want to protect her from the oh no. Oh no. And that's literally how my thoughts going into Rebirth. And anyone who's played the original, you see a certain scene in this State of Play that made me go, oh no. But we'll find out. We will see. There's a lot of speculation that they're changing stuff, and I'm a little bit worried because even like Tetsuya Nomura has been out saying that people are going to be upset by the ending. And I'm confused. And by the way, there are copies going around the internet. People have been playing it. So I'm hoping that it doesn't get spoiled for me. But thankfully, we only have a couple weeks to go. Now, next. And we talked about this on last week's pod. The Microsoft business event does happen this Thursday. We now have a date. We know that last week when I was, literally as I was recording, the tweet went out that Phil Spencer saying that they're going to have this event. Somebody brought up to me. Now, we know that there was those reports coming out that a lot of Microsoft's first-party titles are coming to PlayStation or coming to Nintendo. And even, some places I even saw saying that the cloud gaming app is going to come to PS5 and going to come to Nintendo Switch. And some even saying it's going to come to Steam Deck and stuff. Which would be an interesting move. And then somebody brought up to me, well, what if that's their strategy? Because it's no secret, Xbox is getting their butts kicked by Sony and Nintendo. So, and I just posted this on the main website. So, a lot of reports have started coming out that they did a town hall with Microsoft employees where Phil Spencer said, no, we are not getting out of the console business. So anybody who thinks that is, now those are all reports. We are going to find out in a couple days. That being said, clearly they are changing something. Clearly they realize their current business strategy of trying to get people to purchase Xboxes to play their exclusive games is not working. Trying to get people to purchase Xboxes so that they can subscribe to Game Pass, that is not working. So I had people saying, what if they are trying to build up their massive Game Pass subscriber base by putting this on PlayStation, on Nintendo, and all of that? And then, I had somebody that even brought this up to me. So this is not my original thought. They're like, what if Xbox is no longer a console? What if it's going to be like the equivalent of an Amazon Fire Stick that you're just going to plug into your TV and play on cloud gaming and Game Pass? Which I don't know if that will work, but we do know that cloud gaming is becoming more and more mainstream. We know that it's picking up. I have been trying not to get too speculative because we are going to find out in just a couple days. And also I think that, if we start speculating, our minds start to wander, and in 20 minutes, I'm going to have somebody talking to me about how Xbox is just selling all of their IPs to Sony. Something like that is going to come out. So that's why I don't want to get too much into speculation, but it's been such a huge thing in the gaming space. I felt like we had to talk about something. So that is the gaming beat. We are moving on to a brief theme park beat. Now, there wasn't a whole lot of news. I was looking, but we now know one of the biggest attractions opening this year is Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and we now have a release date. They have said that it is opening at Walt Disney World this summer. I think it is still planning to release in Disneyland later this fall or early winter, somewhere in there, probably November-ish, before the holidays. But we now know it is coming this summer, and they're saying it's actually opening sooner than they expected it to. They are way ahead. And today, Disney shared some new animatronics for Tiana. And for an animatronic of an animated character, the movement looks fluid. It looks great. It's hard to really give details in podcast form, but it's very detailed. It's very, go on to the Diz or something. They have a lot of pictures, a lot of videos of it. It made me very excited for this ride. Of course, a lot of controversy with them removing Splash Mountain, but my take is everything is on the chopping block eventually. Splash Mountain, it was its time to go. The ride was broken down half the time, so it needed several months of TLC. It needed, and this overlift is only going to, and that it was even more finalized when Disneyland closed down Tower of Terror, and I was upset about Tower of Terror closing until I rode Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, and now I'm they 100% made the right decision, because Mission Breakout is one of my favorite Disney attractions ever. So, overall, we're going to find out more later this summer, but I think that the Tiana Bayou Adventure looks everything we've seen from it, it looks like it's going to be another Disney Imagineering miracle and a world-class attraction. So we are going to move on to what did I do this week? What am I up to? So, as I mentioned before, I finished my replay of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I also finished Tales of Arise. Both of those, boom. So I finally moved on. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, I'm finally getting around to that. I'm literally only Alan Wake away from playing all of last year's Game of the Year award nominees. So, once I finish Mario Brothers Wonder, I've got to... My problem with Alan Wake 2 is I bought it and it's sitting on my hard drive on my PC, but then I had people tell me, you have to play through Alan Wake 1 and you have to play through Control or you're not going to understand it. So once I finish Super Mario Brothers Wonder, it looks like I've got a little bit of a binge. I also briefly started, I only got like 20 minutes into it before I had to put it away, but... I briefly started Persona 3 Reload. We'll find out, I'll figure out more once I get a little bit more time to play it. So, Mario Brothers Wonder, Persona 3 Reload, and I started the intermission DLC of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Also, tomorrow I am finally getting out to see Lisa Frankenstein. I've been excited, and I've been hearing some really good things. I've been hearing some negative things as well. But I had a couple of friends that even told me, they're like, this is the type of movie that's just weird enough that you'll like. So, that's all, and, I'm excited for that. I also got to see a ticket to see, Madam Web on Sunday. It's sitting at like a 23% on Rotten Tomatoes. I've got to admit, I'm not particularly excited for it. But I feel like as a Marvel fan, as a movie fan, it's something that I have to watch. So hopefully on Monday's podcast, we will be able to review both of those. And then I might, if I find the time, I might get out to see the Bob Marley movie. I have not decided on that. Overall, yeah, we already talked about the Wicked trailer. That's pretty much all I had for you guys. So thank you so much for listening. This is a little bit shorter of a podcast, but... we will be back on Monday, and the first episode of the video edition of the Everything Entertainment Show will come this Friday. Until then, keep it on, subscribe, leave a review for me, send an email to everythingentertainmentblog8@gmail.com. If you have any questions or comments about the show, I welcome all feedback. And you can also follow me at TikTok at Everything Entertainment. And as always, all the newest news and anything that I'm interested in is coming to EverythingEntertainment.Network. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you all later on Monday.